Hey, what's going on everybody? It's God Forgive Me, and I figured we'll do something special for this video, and we're going to channel one of my favorite YouTubers. So with that being said, it's time to talk about some lore. Hello Internet, welcome to Realm Theory. And I am going to go ahead and channel my inner Matpat. Please don't sue us, I'm a big fan, I got two of your jackets. But as you can see, I'm actually in-game wearing a red jacket in honor of our favorite game theorist. And with that being said, I figured let's dive into the lore of High Realms. Alright, so starting off our video, I'd like to first give a huge shout out to Nick. He's a big fan of the channel and he had reached out to me on Discord in my DMs and suggested I make this lore video. Because while we were exploring High Realms, we both found the same 11 notes scattered across the realm. Now, individually, they look like random information, maybe something to help the player. But if you put them together, they do tell a narrative here. And this is how I came up with my realm theory. So after some rearranging, I placed these 11 notes in the following order to tell my realm theory. Starting with the first note, I woke up here alone and confused. My memory is a blur, but something tells me this is where I belong. So this is the start. Somebody woke up, has no idea how they got here, and yet something's calling to them that this is where they should be. Now, moving on to note 2, I talked to a cow today, and it talked back. I must be losing my mind. So this to me indicates that this person, even though they have some memory loss, they are not from this realm, because to them, cows should not be talking back. This guy interacted with Mula, and he was freaked out by it. And then on the next note, he's starting to get a lay of the land. I keep finding these glowing fragments. They hum with an ancient energy as if holding the remnants of a great power. What are they? Now, as he gets a lay of the land, he starts talking to the locals about what he's finding. So this note states, locals speak of Farlight, a crystal that sustained all life in Etheria. Could these crystal fragments be pieces of it? So that's where we're now getting into the actual lore here. We know that there's a place called Etheria, that there was a crystal called Farlight, and that he believes that these fragments that we're finding, these Farlight crystals, are pieces of said large Farlight. And this is further supported as we get to the next note. These islands appear shattered, as if broken from a massive explosion. What could have caused such destruction? Well, that destruction could be the destruction of that big Farlight crystal, which shattered not just the Farlight crystals, but maybe reality itself into these different realms. Which probably at this point, you're probably asking yourself, well, how did the Farlight break? Well, we start diving a little bit more into lore as we start getting names into the story. This note states, the name Elizara echoes in my mind and dreams. A guardian? What happened to her? So we know it's a girl, and we know that she was a guardian, probably of the Farlight. So as we dive into the next note, we now have the villain of our story. Erathos, the name brings chills. His desire for power led to the Farlight's shattering. Elizara tried to stop him. I now remember. So the question might be is, well, how is he now remembering if he's not from this realm? Now, this could indicate that he was from another realm, that where these two were figures that he was aware of, or is it maybe as he comes more in contact with the Farlight crystals in High Realms, is it now giving him memories? Like he said in his dreams, now Elizara is calling to him. He's dreaming about it. I believe that as you collect the Farlight crystals, it's like you're getting their memories imprinted on yourself, and you're kind of starting to not able to distinguish from your own memory and what's being imprinted onto you. So moving on to the next note, we now find out how the Farlight was shattered. There was a showdown between the Guardian and the villain. The note reads, the battle was fierce. Elizara and Erathos clashed, and the Farlight exploded. The world was torn apart. And with that, our fable comes to an end. Now, with any good story, there's always a great narrator. Now that brings up the question, who's the one writing these letters, and leaving them behind. Well, some of you might think it's this guy who says, I was curious too, now look at me. He's not looking too good, guys. He's looking kind of dead. And I find it hard to believe that our narrator would be killed off, because I believe as we get more areas added to the game, we will get more lore presented in other letters as well, or maybe other elements of story. Who I think this is someone who is accompanying our narrator, because he says, I was curious too, but it didn't turn out as well for him as it has for our narrator so far, which I think this person died in the hidden obby in the Citadel. Who do we know is really good at obbies and also is a real life person like us that's been brought to this world? There's only one, and that's our favorite YouTuber, DV. I think DV's the one been writing these letters and leaving them and warning us not to go into the Dark Realm. And why I think that is because if you go to this letter, it says, the throne room is currently closed. Trespassers will be punished from the Chancellor. Well, where do we find DV in the game? Well, if you don't know, if you go inside the actual castle, here's the dungeon. We go down this very long, winding stairs. We will see a bunch of jails, and at the end of the jails is a stairway down to where the entrance to the Dark Realm is, where we're not supposed to use our realm key. But if you look on this left-hand side here, look who is already in jail. I think DV was coming here because even though he told us not to go in the Dark Realm, I think he knew what had to be done, how to stop whatever threat was behind that door. So he was coming here to try and stop it, but he was unfortunately captured and imprisoned. So that brings up the other question. Well, why not go in the Dark Realm? Huh? I'm going to tell you why. So, if you're not aware, my first video I ever did was me conquering the Dark Realm. And if you go to my video, what's the first thing I get excited about when I entered the Dark Realm?
Ooh, who's this guy? Graven. He's cute. Man, but does he have a lot to say? Holy cow.
And he does have a lot to say. Let's read it. Ah, another curious soul has crossed the threshold. Your realm was warned not to open the door, yet here you are. Did you not heed the warning? Did you not fear what lies beyond? Look around you. This place, this dark realm, holds remnants of a catastrophic power. If anything from here were to escape to your world, the destruction would be unimaginable. Don't you see? When Erathos touched your world, it was shattered, fragmented into the scattered islands you call home. But now that you're here, we must act swiftly. There are 7 seals scattered across this realm that hold the door tightly shut. You must find them and bring them back to me. Only then can I help you reseal the door and prevent further catastrophe. Hurry, we don't have much time. And then from here, we're tasked to find 7 seals or relics to finish out our quest. But then after we find the 7th seal or relic, and we go back to our friend Graven, and we give them back to him, look at what he does with them. You got the seals. And then he eats them. And we're pushed right out of the Dark Realm. And what are we given is a cursed relic. Well, why would that relic be cursed? Well, that brings me to my next point, which is Gavin is not the friendly skeleton as we all perceived him to be. I think that he's actually Erathos trapped in the Dark Realm, and he's asking us to gather the seals that are trapping him here because in his current state, he can't traverse the obbies and get all the seals in time. So instead he has us do it. We release him. We give him all 7 of them. He eats them. It gives him back the power he needs to break free of the cage that he's been locked in. The evidence is clear. He says others have been here. Here's the remains of those who failed to get all those seals. And I believe it wouldn't be shocking if he was the one that killed him. Maybe the 12 minutes is just his patience level. He's so evil that he can only hold himself back from killing you for 12 minutes. And that's why when we come back to the main world, it's a cursed relic. Because we gave him the 7 seals, and he ate them, which ended up corrupting them, and he got out. So I believe the next part of the story is we are going to have to stop the evil that we unleashed onto the world. And maybe, just maybe, the next part will be us trying to track down where did our guardian go. Where is she being held? Where is she fallen? Maybe there's certain powers of her that we got to collect ourselves to enrich ourselves to be able to stop this new great threat that we unknowingly unleashed on the high realms. All right, so let's summarize my theory here. I believe that there was a world crystal called the Farlight, and this Farlight was destroyed during the climactic battle between the Guardian of the Farlight, Elizra, battled the villainous Erathos. And after the Farlight was shattered, it created the world of High Realms. Our islands, the Citadel, and everywhere we explore are really just the shattered remnants of this world crystal. Now, I do believe at some point, not immediately, DV was brought to this world. And my reason for that is because it's very clear that there's already citizens. There's a castle here. There's a kingdom. There are already mobs populating this world by the time that DV gets here. And he starts exploring. He does not understand that a cow can talk back. To him, he's from our world where this would be very strange. And as he's looking through the world, he's finding these Farlight crystals, the remnants of the great world crystal of the Farlight. And every one he touched, it gets him a little bit stronger, but it's starting to give him dreams, memories that may not be his. And because of that, he starts recalling this and writing it down and leaving these letters, whether it be writing them down for his own sanity or purposely leaving them behind for others to warn them not to go in the dark realm. I believe that he himself realized the danger and maybe was going down there to protect it or go in there himself and stop Erathos, maybe he found a way, but unfortunately he was captured and imprisoned in the jail down there. But us, being the player, unbeknownst to us, we go in there anyways, not heeding the warnings because we found the realm key after killing a bunch of Grimthorns. And there we meet Graven, who we think is our friend trying to help us escape this horrible area, this little skeleton guy. Well, in reality, I believe that he's actually Erathos in a weaker form because he's been captured there and held there by these 7 seals, or relics. Now, after we get all the seals, we give them to him, and Graven ends up eating them, immediately breaking the seal that's holding him there, now using his power to push us back into the normal world, and the only thing that we have to show for it is a cursed relic. Those seals, relics that we were gathering, are now cursed because we gave them to him and he's corrupted them. He now has his power and he's now traveling the world of High Realms again. And I believe that in the future of the series, we're going to find out that it's now on us to fix the wrong that we have done. That we are going to have to now find a way to defeat this villain who's now freed upon the land because of our inability to understand what we were doing. So I think that the next step will be we are going to have to find our guardian of the Farlight, whatever happened to her, or maybe along the way, by doing that, we're going to find either remnants of her or ways to power up ourselves so that we ourselves can finally take on this threat that we released onto High Realms. But hey, that's just a theory. A High Realms theory. Thanks for watching.